Hello, everyone. I am Dr. D. I'm here again talking to you. I had some questions that were on my mind, but also some questions that were asked to me in a letter. Um, a guy was saying, you women, and I don't like um, everybody putting everybody in one category because every woman, every man is different. So this is to some men and some women advice and some help. So I want to explore that and give you some insight and some information. Now, this gentleman says, women want child support and for this child, and I pay child support, but the child does not call me. And I was like, you know what? That's a good question. So my question to was to him, number one, do you make an effort to call your child or the mother of your child to speak to her about setting up a time that is feasible for both of you to actually work together? And sorry about that. Okay. Sorry. Do you work out a time schedule that you and her and the child could actually have the phone? And if the child is able to hold the phone, the adult necessarily doesn't need to be there to monitor the child as they're talking to the other half, the child's other parent, whether it be male or female. So I'm going to address this to the man. And I said, do you make an effort? Do you call? It's like, no. And I'm like, so what do you expect this child to do? To pick up the phone and call you? I said, now, because the child is older now. You, child is in their late teens. So it says no. And I said, well, does the mother bring the child to see you? Does the mother make the child call? He's like, yes, the mother calls. The mother has him call me when he was little, on my birthday or my mother's birthday or the holidays. But as the child gotten older, the child has not called me. And now that the child is much older, does not call me at all and doesn't have communication. And I explained to her, I don't understand that. Why does this child not call me? I haven't did anything to this child. And I said to him, have you made you yourself said you had not made an effort. You yourself said the mother has made the child call you. You yourself says the mother has made the child called your family. These are your own words. I'm repeating back to him. But you, on the other hand, has not made a contact of calling the child besides the mother making him. So, with that being said, how can you expect to build a relationship if you didn't even start one yourself based on you and not the mother interfering and having relationship? And the response is, well, I pay child support. Well, as you should. Just like if the woman, if the man is raising a woman as child, then the woman should pay child support. Equal, equal, if you can afford it. Now, all depends on financial status of each person. So you pay child support. You've got the child medical. So my thing was the child able to use the medical? Was the child in the same state? Is the child in another state? Is the child in another country? I mean, these are questions that need to be asked. And he said the child was in another state. And I said, was the child able to use the coverage? He was like, no. I said, so really, basically, you just paid coverage, but the child never got to use it. He said, correct. I was like, so how is that benefiting the child and the mother? So what do you think happened during that period? She was not able to use your insurance that you said that you paid into. And he's like, I don't know. I said, of course, silly, you wouldn't. The mother had to get insurance. So that's another bill on top of the bills that having a child, raising a child, not only food, shelter, clothes, activities, whether it's sports, school supplies, all of these things that you don't take in account of. This is what this money is used for. Now, I'm not saying some women use their money and go gallivanting. And I asked him, did she do that? He said, no, she didn't. Had the child in football. And I was like, did you pay money for the football? He was like, no. I was like, did you help out with any of the extra things that the child was involved in? He's like, no, I paid child support. That seemed to be the key of the answer. I pay child support. So because I pay a certain amount of money for child support, that should have covered everything that the child was doing. That should have covered the clothes. That should have covered the food. That should have covered the shelter. That should have covered all the extra activities. And that should have covered the medical coverage that she and he were supposed to have, or whatever the child was, whatever they had was supposed to cover all of that. Now, mind you, taking all of that. Now, when you have the child, have you taken the child when you brought it to him? And he said basically he kept the child maybe for about 4 days. And the 4 days, it was very hard, and said to the mother, this child eats a lot. Wow. You just had the child for 4 days. The woman has the child for 361 days. Did you hear me? 361 days. So she makes it on what you give, and you complained about 4 days of feeding that child. And you yourself said the mother came and got the child because the child was hungry. Mind you. I'm just saying, we need to look at some of the things that you're saying, and does that make sense? You had a hard time struggling for 4 days. And I said versus 361 days of feeding, clothing, washing, birthing, and taking care of this child. For how many years that's been going on? 4 days out of the whole child's life. That's the kind of relationship you had them for 4 days. And I understand it's out of state. And I'm going to give you a story. For me, my aunt lived in New Jersey and I lived in Pennsylvania. I would go to the 30th Street station, catch the train, the Amtrak train, and I would go to get on the train and sit there and take a train ride from Philadelphia to Newark, New Jersey, where my aunt met me on the train station and picked me up. Now, my aunt, not my parent, but my aunt would pay for the train ticket for me to get there and for me to go home. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I was giving him an example. Or you could have basically got your child a plane ticket. And at that time, or during that time before COVID, the child could have come on a plane with plane assistance if they're old enough and stuff to be taken care of. And then someone would meet the parent at the gate for them to pick up. COVID is a different story now. I'm just saying these are some options. So you got the plane, you got the train, or you yourself could drive down there and pick up the child from whatever state they were in and make sure that they were taken care of, and you would bring them back. So those are some options that could have gone on, but you chose none of the above. So with that being said, how do you think if the child grows up seeing this kind of relationship that the mother's putting all the effort in the phone call, in that experience, how do you think that child felt? That child felt like they were unwanted. Why should I call, or why should I even bother to call this person when all my life they showed me only when my mother went there, picked me up, made an effort. Was there really an effort? And that is very saddening and very heartbreaking to me, because this child's self-esteem of seeing, I have a father, he pays child support, but he's not there. He has not been to any of my football games, ballerina games, or ballerina rehearsal, piano rehearsal, violin rehearsal, hockey, whatever, basketball games. I'm just saying, all the things you've missed out. You haven't come to the child graduating from kindergarten to the next grade, or going to elementary school into high school, or even so much have come to the high school graduation. Wow. Those are monumental things in a child's life. Where were you? And I questioned him. He said, I was busy. I was working. If I didn't work, he wouldn't get child support. So your working took over for you not putting in enough time or making an effort, even if you didn't go those times, but make an effort when you did to take off and spend time with that child. That put the child at a very unease. I'm saying, as a parent, I understand. Your schedule get busy, you do, but the thing is, when you prioritize and make your child the most important thing in your life, things will open up. Now, the other side is, I've known where men are taking care of their daughters and son, and the mother is not financially stable to take them, and that's why they're in that situation. But the father is raising them and is frustrated. And the relationship actually still suffers, because how much effort does that mother puts in, and where you lack in finance, are you able to be there emotionally for them? Are you there to be in their space of connecting with them and giving them guidance and giving them support? Or how are you supporting them emotionally? Are you able to do a visit? Are you doing a phone check? These are the things, because when they sometimes comes with you, then you're the fun parent. You're not the strict parent. You're not the role parent. There's the guy. So there's a different boundaries relationship when the men are sole care and the woman is not. Now, if she's in a financially stable where she can pay, then she should pay child support and whatever else she can do, because she's not there, like I said, like the 365 days a year. She's there whenever it's allowable or in schedule. But again, what takes priority? Not only taking care of yourself, but your children. What effort are you putting in for that relationship to build and be strong? So when they do get older, they're not having resentment. Then there's another scenario where men have separated or divorced from their lady, and they do put an effort. They do pick them up. They do go and pick the children up and spend time with them and do activities and in their life, and making sure that they're on target for their education. These are the things that are important to a child as they're growing up, because they're going to remember them, and these emotions help shape their little minds as they get older into be and young adults, and how they feel and how they cultivate a relationship with their parents through life. There are good and bad and ugly on both sides, but how you deal with them. Thing is, I suggested for him, maybe go and get counseling, talking to your son, telling him how you felt, what you thought, for him to get a better understanding of how you're the adult now and feeling away. I'm just saying, these are some things that can be done. These are some things that can help you cultivate a better structured relationship with your children or even adult children. Tell them, explain to them about what you're going through, because they see your place in life as different, and work with them and cultivate where they're coming from. Meet them at their level. See what common interests as they've grown up, what you have in common. Just because you parent a child, or I should say, uh, create a child, does not make you up the parent, even though on paper you're the parent. But what relationship do you have with that being, life force that you've been giving to create, to build a strong foundation for them to have in this life? Just saying, these are some things to look at, some things to really open your mind and say, wow, this is what I could have done, and wish this is what I should have done. So put all of that to the side and think about what kind of relationship you want with your child this forth, and work with them. Something as simple, you pick up the phone, because evidently that child feels like, I'm not wanted, so why should I waste my time? Or when they need you, you're not there. It's hurtful. And sometimes the child doesn't know what's going on. It was the parent transparent? Do you think the mother, the father has turned the children against that other parent? And I say to that parent, shame on you. You don't do that. You don't put children in the middle, because that child is not only part of you, but that's part of that other parent. And they have to develop a relationship. And how they view you when they get older is what you did, and they'll look at you different because of that relationship. Just saying. So think about your structure, your relationship, and what you want in life. And I know there's good, bad, and ugly, but when I got that, that email, it was like, really? And we're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And finally I said, dude, like, what is it? What do you really want? What is your expectation of this relationship? And you need to write it down and tell this, your other being, your child. He's not a child anymore. Well, it's teenager, your teenage son, daughter, what you want, and how to take the steps, and where they're at, and where, if they really don't want to be bothered with you, got to be able to accept that, and just meditate in them, and just ask them, when you're ready, my heart, I'm here to give you all the support that you are, when you're ready to build that relationship, because that's something they have to do. Or like I said, go to counseling. You go to counseling, or go to counseling together. Work on your relationship. That's what we're losing in this time. And more than ever, men need to be in the male children, teenagers' life. Also, women need to be in the male children's life to see the boys to going to teenager need to see a positive woman or role model, that their mother and what they're doing. So on both ends, women, young ladies growing into young women, need to see a capable father, loving father, and understanding, so that they don't fall prey to these deluded men or older teenagers harping on young girls by giving them the attention and love, and saying, you know what, you look pretty, baby, you know how they do. You know how a lot of them do, and how they talk. And I'm just saying, there is things that get you to really think and focus on positivity. If they have that strong male role model, strong female role model in their life, surround your life forces around positive beings that are going to enforce the rules and positivity and self-esteem about themselves that they can grow and be. If you're a single woman and you don't happen to have that, I suggest getting into big brother programs, big sister programs, for them to see some things. Sometimes we're born into a family where this is a perpetual habit of broken families, broken relationships, of dysfunction. And because we fell into that, we don't know how to fix it. So we try to figure out, how can we fix these things in life? And how do we go about it? What are the steps we take? So that's why I said big brothers, big sisters, the youth program, different organizations that you're involved, you know, the people. Um, Also, mentor programs. Also, you know, some kids that are older, like are 19 to 24, they can be involved in an outward bound program that they help them be self-sufficient. That's for children that have that is in a vocational rehab. They have that. They help them from coming out of high school or until they're 24 to be self-sufficient. They give them the goals and the skills to be self-sufficient. Also, the YMCA has a program like that for young women and men. The junior core. The junior core has a program for kids that are 15, that dropped out of high school, that learn skills, get a high school diploma, get a trade school. These are different things for them to get involved with, that so they're not doing drugs, they're not doing alcohol, they're not there out there in the street being willy-nilly, but something possible. But Job Corps, getting a degree or something, or a trade or a school that they can use. And at the Job Corps, they actually go and they stay there and they get an education and degree that they can use. I'm just saying. So those are just some of the keys that you can do and use to go with them to help them. Now, if the child has some medical issues, then that is a lifespan that you as the parent, y'all need to make provisions for, and some steps you need to prepare yourself for as a parent, what you can do to support each other. I'm just saying. So these are things that I leave you with. Look up some resources. Talk to your child's counselor at high school, elementary school, and even going to college and helping them fill out the application, helping them get the SATs done, helping them study, get driver's license, giving them the basic skills that they need, catching a bus, how to do a budget. These are some of the things that kids or young adults don't know nowadays. They don't have a budget. They don't know what it's like to pay bills because they were not given an allowance. My son was fortunate to go to this thing called Jobstown in Arizona. This thing, they go Jobstown, and they were given a job that when they go, that they would do and how much they would make. And the little town was like a little lively town, and they had the postman, they had a store, they had all these different jobs, but the truck driving, like nothing driving like that. But they were able to use their skills in life to, excuse me, to be able to function. They would get their work pay, they would go out to eat, and so forth. That they would, for the day. So they had breakfast, they had lunch. I think they spent all day there, like till 4 o'clock, and they come home. And it's a trip. It's a field trip. It's called Jobstown. It was very wonderful experience. My son he was the postman. He worked at the post office. I don't remember what he did, but I think he was I know he worked at the post office. He was so excited about that at that time. But he didn't do it like in his teenagers. He did that in elementary school. He was in Peoria, elementary school they went to, or Surprise, one of those elementary school. Very good school. Because I thought that was unique. They learned about a budget. They prepared them before they went there. So they had a budget. They talked about shopping. They talked about coupons, talked about different things and how they would function. But they were like maybe in the fourth to sixth grade, somewhere around there. I don't remember. But that's something that was a skill that they could use. Learning data entry and stuff. What are you good at? So when they prepares them to go into high school. So these are the things that when you're looking at your children that's grown up to young adults so they can aspire to be best is having these good support system with them. But these things, you support each other as a parent. Try to co-parent, not turn against each other, but work together. It'll make life much easier. And I know some parents, women and men, are difficult to work with, but you got to realize it all at the time is for the sake of the children. So I am Dr. D. I'm leaving you with my thought for the day of connection for the question that I had about what do you do when you don't have a relationship with your child, but you don't understand why they don't want a relationship with you as they grow on to be adults or get older. What can you do? And those are the questions that I asked. That is woman or man. What part, active role do you take to be in your child's life? I'm going to say love, light, longevity, and prosperity to all. I am Dr. D. Thank you. Now I want to figure out how to stop this thing. I have my glasses on, so put your glasses on. Hear my song. Ain't that nice? Put your glasses on. Let's see something. I don't know nobody there.